Welcome to TLG Radio, Transformative Leadership Group's Snippet Radio Station. Hi, and thank you for joining us. My name is Ron McIntyre, and I am the president of Transformative Leadership Group and your Story Changer Guide today. Our topic of discussion today is Become a Story Changer, session number 201415. My son-in-law had an interesting exercise to participate in the birth of his first daughter. He put enough jelly beans in a quart mason jar to denote the time between when they discovered they were expecting to when the projected due date was. As he ate one jelly bean per day, it provided fun, plus a physical reminder of what remarkable event was going to take place. It was also a reminder that his responsibilities and his story were going to change. He was going to take on the role of being a dad for the first time. This got me thinking. Do you realize that we have roughly 30,000 days of life from the day we are born until the day we die? Assuming, of course, that we live to be 80 years old. What would you do differently if you had 30,000 jelly beans in a jar and ate one per day? What we do with those days is in our control if we focus on being story changers. A story changer is not afraid to understand their environment, take the good with the bad, and adjust how we deal with it on a regular basis. They are resilient. Many of us were taught that when we make a mistake, we should immediately rise up, dust ourselves off, get over it, and get on with life. It's good advice, on paper. How many of us lost the way to success when we were younger and focused on the selfish drives that only youth can so often be centered on? This can rob us of being successful when we are adults if we are not careful. Question: what would happen if we became friends, mentors, and guiding forces that could literally pull a small child out of a dumpster and back into the game of life and learning? As a young man, I was driven. I also had a need to please, so that I wouldn't be sidelined or overlooked by people. When I was just starting out in the game of work, I believed that when someone in business fell and scraped their knees, that they should stop whining about it. I showed very little patience for individuals who fell short, gave up, and couldn't quite keep up the pace to the mountain of success. An old boss of mine was responsible for helping me in changing my story the first time. He was able to show the fallacy in my lack of patience. He demonstrated that others could not grow with a short-sighted, impatient leader. I found that titles weren't everything. I was beginning to see the need for something other than drive and determination. I became a believer in the boomerang effect. What we put out eventually comes back to us. There have been many instances in my life that have echoed this rule time after time. However, I have learned from each of these events. There have been situations where I was so depressed and under such an incredible amount of stress that I could not even bring myself to focus on the important things of the day. I have learned that people who get knocked down often face a seemingly unsurmountable challenge when it comes to picking themselves up. But there is a common thread to the tale that I have begun to understand only later in life. If I need to change my life, I need to change the storyline. I need to become a story changer. Some call it being a game changer. Others will refer to it as a history changer. It has been my privilege to have repenned my work story at least 5 times in my 60-plus years. Each time was an adventure that was fearful and exciting at the same time. It was not a sole effort by any stretch of the imagination. There were many people along the way that provided support roles and positive influences in the journey. There were also those that demonstrated roles and influences that were not beneficial to me or others. My story changing was also built on a faith in God and an interpretation that man is responsible for helping others to become whole and successful. There is a time and a place for giving people advice and encouraging them to move past problems. But when they're stuck in the dark pit and unable to see the light of day from their deep hole, that's not the appropriate time or place to do it. We must simply offer a helping hand without placing blame or judgment on them, being as authentic as possible. Don't try to solve their problems or insert your point of view on the situation. Just listen. Let them know you're there for them and share kind words. Help them understand that they can rewrite their story. They can become story changers. Personally, I still have a lot more living, learning, and falling down to do. I believe the concept of being a story changer gave me the strength to make it through the challenges that I have. I am in the midst of writing a new story right now. It is exciting, frustrating, gratifying, terrifying, all at the same time. I realize that I have only a fraction of my days left and there is much to do, so changing my story is what will help me continue to learn, grow, and share. How about you? So how do you become a story changer in your world of work, family, and friends? You don't have to destroy relationships, departments, competitors, or coworkers. However, disruption might be called for, but we can only disrupt well when we have compassion and understanding as part of our tool sets. My goal today is to try just being a friend who offers a hand up to those who need it. Let us help you change your personal or company stories. They are related, as are all the stories that are in your network, so there needs to be great care when leveraging them. You cannot manipulate your story, but you can change it positively and with authenticity. Well, thanks for joining us today. And if we have touched on something that you would like more information about, please send us an email today at ron@transformativeleadership.us. Have yourself a great day, and God bless until we meet again.